he never really returned back into our lives until when my mom died. My mom died when I was 25 years old. The reason why I used the word abandoned was when I was about 9, my mom missed the family. We returned back to Nigeria. And even when we were in the same country as him, he never popped around to see us. The same situation, I got into boarding school, and my dad was the civil engineer responsible for the roads around my school. And on any visiting day, my dad never popped in to see us at all, to see me or visit. Yet he was right in front of the gate of the school I was attending. For me, that's abandonment. And it was only when my mom died during her wake-keep service, he gave his life, and that's how we started a relationship. And we had 13 solid years because he died 13 years after my mom died. So I lost my dad when I was 39.
Wow. Wow. And how old were you when you reconnected again? From 18 months old?
25.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Growing up, was it?
Sorry, I'm just looking for my fan. I've got something here, but I'm just so warm. Yeah. Oh God, this heat. I don't do well with the heat. But
I know.
I'm really aware there's the air conditioning, but it's blowing warm air. Yeah. Sorry. What was the question?
I'm slightly lucky. I'm in the studio here, and there's fun. So.
I think I need the fan. I should have had that as a backup. So, what was your question? Pardon me.
My question is that you've clearly described to us that why you felt abandonment was the word. For those who are just joining the studio, I'm just seeing people just logging in. When you connected to your dad at 25, how did that make you feel? Those years that you knew he was somewhere, but he wasn't popping around to see you. How did that make you feel?
In simple terms, you just feel rejection. It's just purely rejection. And I remember an incident in school because my dad was quite well known in Abeokuta at the time. So some of the people I was attending school with, they knew him, and they knew the woman he was with at the time. So anytime I tried to say that was that, people will use this phrase in the Nigerian dialect, which I wouldn't say now. Oh, you just want to be connected with a wealthy man. So I was always looked down because obviously I was being raised by my mom, single-handedly, who was just a nurse. But where we lived, her salary wasn't just for myself and my sister. Her salary was also to help other people in the area. So it meant that we had very little to ourselves. And my father, on the other hand, he was a socialite. He was well known. And anytime I said, that's my dad, people will just say, you just want to be connected with a wealthy man. Is it because you have the same surname? So I grew up saying my dad's dead because nobody believed that he was my dad. I'm his firstborn. And I look more like my mom than my dad. So that's what happened when I was growing up. And people bullied me. People looked down. I just didn't have any, basically identity crisis. You feel rejection, low self-esteem, and you want to belong. You want to be accepted. You want people to love you. You're just looking for love in different places. And it was very tough.
Very tough. Love in different places. Now, did you feel anger when he eventually reconnected? Was it an easy connection? Or did you feel anger?
Now, my mom, bless her heart, she loved my dad. That was her first love and the only person she loved. So when I finished from secondary school, before we go back, we grew up in a city called Ibadan. So before going to Ibadan, my mom will make sure she stops us by my dad's house for us to see my dad. By the time I'm popping in there, the other woman will be kicking us out and my dad will be going off to his club. He loved his social life. So it's not that I didn't see him. I knew who he was and we will pop in. So when my mom died and then he now came and apologized, I was bitter. I felt he was responsible for my mom's death, for my childhood. I said so many nasty things to him. And I remember then for him to reconnect, my sister and I were we returned back to the UK. So he bought his ticket to visit us. And because he didn't know what the reaction was, we went to Heathrow to pick him up. But he actually called the black cab to the house. So we were looking for him in Heathrow. He was already in our, waiting downstairs in our flat at the time. And I remember when we saw him, it's a very strange feeling because you're thinking, well, my first thing was, what exactly do you want to do here? This should be my mom enjoying the fruit of our labor. And I remember saying those words to him that, so what exactly have you come to the UK to do? Why are you here? And that holiday was very tough for him. He cried a couple of times and he just said, I wish if your mom was here, would have made things easier because but thank God I have a very loving, a Christian husband who at the time we were dating and he used to speak to me and tell me that, forgiveness. And I'm saying, you've not walked this path with me. So don't tell me about forgiveness. It took me 3 years basically to release my dad and to really reconnect. And I must say that the 13 years we had together was really, really love. And to crown it up, we were dancing Ayefele in this day in my sitting room. And my dad just staggered. I said, Daddy, are you okay? And that's how he died in my arms.
Wow. Wow. What a finishing he had there. Now, you have done very well for yourself, but I just want us to talk a little bit about that because in today's modern world, sometimes when people have children out of wedlock and it's as if they are either expected to not connect with them or connect. Did you think that sometimes in modern world today is a bit difficult because the new woman doesn't want association of the man with the whole children? How can they marry and walk through that?
I think because we were not born out of wedlock. So my mom married my dad. She was the legal wife.
Yeah.
The other woman was the illegal wife.
Yeah.
And she never really got that legal status until my mom died because my dad never divorced my mom.
Yeah.
We felt cheated because ideally we felt we should have that rightful place.
Yeah.
But my mom, on the other hand, because she grew up in a polygamous home, she felt we should have been able to not necessarily live together because she didn't think that would have been a healthy environment for her 2 daughters. But she wanted us to get on. So she did everything to reach out, extend a hand of fellowship to the other woman, but she just wasn't having it.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Now,
I think everybody should live in love. I think the terminology wedlock and all that, a man has children. It's done. There's nothing you can do. It's not the children's fault. I really feel that the happened has happened. So why can't their love abide? There shouldn't be any envy. This is family. It's just like family, and we should just, you never know where the connection. That's my take. But
family has grown bigger. Embrace the family. It's not the children's fault. Let the children live together in love. Great. Thank you for just throwing a message there of looking back with forgiveness and looking forward, embracing the future. I know that your daddy, if he was alive, he would be so proud of you. How did you turn similarly disadvantage to an advantage? What was the journey that? Because a lot of people look at the background, they can't get away. They embrace their past so much. They are so much in relations with the past that they can't embrace the future. How did you carve your way through a rough start and then converted everything up to where you are today?
The simple answer for me is I found my identity in Christ. So it was a journey because initially when I gave my life to Christ, I was 15 years old. But the only reason why I did it, I used the face, was I wanted to be accepted. So this was a group of people that I saw. They looked like me at the time. In secondary school, they didn't really dress as well. They looked a bit poor like I did. And I thought, oh yeah, this is a group I can connect with. They were called SU at the time, Scripture Union. And I felt, yeah. But I was just following them. I didn't have a relationship with God. But during my youth service at the time, I was 20. And I decided to have this dialogue with God alone in the room. And I was studying the book of Esther. And I said, wow, she was an orphan, very similar. I connected with her and I saw how she became this queen. And from there on, I renamed myself. Those that are close to me, they know me as Queen Esther. I I started embracing, studying about what a queen is all about, what a queen leads. She's admired. You're not this rejected person. I started speaking to myself. A lot of the things I did by myself, because I believe that we are the authors of our destiny and we have to take responsibility. Whatever has happened in the past, you cannot do anything about it, but we have control today. Whatever we
Yeah.
do today is what will then inform our future. Whatever is done in the past is what makes our today. But I believe in looking forward, so I decided to speak positively to myself. I didn't really excel that much in my education, but when I had another stab against my education, because at the time I was so young, my first degree, I finished with a second class lower. Um, it's not bad, but I could have done better because I believe I was more intelligent because I had a lot of emotional baggages. So when I then retrained to become a chartered accountant and did masters and MBA and all these different things, I felt I was going to give it my best.
Hmm.
And it's those when you have little successes, they kind of erode that past. You start thriving on that. So I decided to speak positively to myself and set goals for myself and try and achieve them and stay focused. And like I said, my anchor is not in the people around me. My anchor is in the Lord. I'm a Christian. So my anchor is in Jesus Christ, the person I believe in. So I draw my strength from that. If I'm low, I'll go to him. And that's where I got my independence. And I think that's where I started discovering myself and living it and enjoying it. But because I had a childhood that we were quite impoverished in a way, I my focus was driven to be successful, to have money, to do a lot of things. And I had an encounter in
Yeah.
my life whereby I had a surgery that went terribly wrong. It was a 19-day ordeal in the hospital. And while I was literally I was going through it's like you're going through a whirlwind and there's no end. And apparently that's the time when I was actually leaving. I was almost dying.
Mm.
I remember just coming back and saying, my focus is different in life. It's not just about accumulating, but it's more about being a blessing. And I think where I found my strength is not necessarily about my talking to myself, but it's actually being
Yeah.
a blessing to others. In my being a blessing to others, I found myself, I find joy. There's no sense of rejection anymore. My being able to give myself. And I realized that if you're in a state of rejection, it's difficult to give of yourself because you're so
Mm.
needy. You're so needy. You just want. You're so. I can't describe it. It's just needy. But the moment I moved into the position whereby the focus was no longer on myself, what I wanted, but on how I
Mm.
could be a blessing
Mm.
to others,
Mm.
I I started discovering myself. I found myself in a different light. I see myself as a queen who is being a
Mm.
blessing. Like Queen Esther was a blessing to her people. And I see myself living my purpose. And that's where I get joy from.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. Hold your thoughts. There's social media is buzzing there for you. A lot of people are just saying, "Oh, my role model," and all that. We'll take a short break. When we come back, you tell us about career nuggets and a little bit more about strength. Because what you were talking about, I resonated with that as well. I grew up without my dad as well because it passed on really, really early in my life, in my journey in life. But today we're talking about you and exploring your strength and how you turn your adversity into advantage. So we'll take a short break, and I just want people to enjoy this one from Frank Ocean, and then I come. Just a sweet word. The table is prepared for you. Wishing you Godspeed, glory. There will be mountains you won't move. Still, I'll always be there for you. How I do, I'll let go of my claim on supreme world. You'll let down on where you came from. Sometimes the movies want us to believe every story must end in happily ever after, when in reality some true stories leaves you with more than a sour aftertaste. A scar. You're left to manage this scar for the rest of your life. This is Alive and Well, a chat show that extracts benefit from those scars and sets free through inner healing, making you look back with forgiveness and forward with focus and determination. Inspiring interviews, interactive shoutouts, indisputable action points. Alive and Well premieres on Friday, 12th of June, 8 p.m. Facebook Live and Instagram Live. Alive and Well, hosted by MC Mark Comedian. Alive and Well. Hello, we at Career Nuggets are passionate about seeing you excel in your chosen career or business. We want you to stand out in the marketplace. So we have put together a range of services to help you be the best at what you do. We have our Career Nuggets masterclasses every last Thursday of every other month. We have bespoke career coaching packages too. We have our Career Club, a support hub that equips you with nuggets on how to excel in the marketplace. Finally, watch out for our annual conference. It's something you really don't want to miss. For more information, visit our website. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're still in the studio with a female soldier, a spectacular woman, the indefatigable Morenike Ajayi. Once again, thank you for joining us. Career Nuggets. How did that start?
How did it start? It started from two things, actually. The experience I earlier on shared from the hospital. So I had that desire to help others, because at the time I was facing redundancy at work, and my manager was quite it was an unpleasant situation. It was a situation whereby I had built up a department from being 1 to about 14 individuals, and now told that we really like what you're doing, but we want you to step down from being the senior manager, be the manager, and they were going to bring somebody on top of me that I was meant to train to do my job, because of politics. And so I decided to get another secondment in another department. And while I was having this surgery done, the manager was so nasty. I remember leaving the hospital with wounds because I had an open surgery. She wouldn't let me stay at home, and I was so scared. And I remember catching the train, bent down, walking all the way to the office. Really crazy, isn't it? And I remember being in the office and I was struggling to get home. It's just that ordeal. When I sat back, I said, why am I working so hard and so scared to lose my job? There must be better way to stay relevant in the marketplace, and what are the skills? So I started researching about what one can do that one would not. I mean, no job is secured, but there's a way you can keep yourself in employment whereby they want you. You're seen as a valued asset. So that was one. Then I got to a point whereby I was a manager, but there was a glass ceiling, so to say, to break into, strategic leadership.
Yeah.
So, so I eventually I broke into it, and the lessons learned from that is what I thought, instead of me keeping it to myself, because even when you get to those roles, it can be very lonely when you're the only face.
Mm.
There is a lady, a black lady. It's just really lonely, and it's nice to have others around. Maybe not in the same role, because obviously the higher you go, the pinnacle is so tiny. But at least somebody you can call on, to use as a sounding board. And I just felt, what can I do? There must be these people, and most of our people do like TVs and things like that. I realized that there are quite a lot of accomplished
Mm.
black professionals out there.
Yeah.
And under normal circumstances, if I reach out to them, they probably might call my bluff. But by interviewing them and saying, "Look, I want to interview you on TV," they warm up to it. It did two things. Then I was able to showcase to the community, look, these are the role models. You can approach them. This is where they are. Because people see them on my show, they reach out to them on LinkedIn Connect. Secondly, these people were given valuable nuggets that everybody could tap into. So I kicked off Career Nuggets with a TV show. One, to raise the awareness that the black community is not just about entertainment. Kudos to you, you're doing a fantastic job, right?
Thank you.
But then there's a lot of, you look at generally out there, the role models they tend to put out there for black communities in the fashion industry, sports, entertainment. And I wanted to say that in the career, the 9 to 5, so to say, that there are role models. So the TV I kicked off, and then I realized that the TV was giving a lot of information, but people had questions. They wanted to sit down with people. So then I supplemented that with events. So we have career development events. And then I realized that the events were more motivational. Sometimes people need somebody they can sit down with and walk through their career journey with career planning. And that's how
Yeah.
I run short, 6 to 8 courses of career mentoring, and people go through this and it equips people with the soft skills they need. So that's really, Career Nugget was birthed out of my own experience. I desire the landscape at the top, at the strategic level to change. When we
Mm.
talk about diversity, people talk about diversity of an organization. But when you go
Mm.
into the different levels, when it goes up, it's not as diverse as it looks. But people look at an organization and the statistics are out there. Oh, yeah, we've got 13% BME. But when you go up, it's not. And my target is to change that, like that play field. I want it to be more representative of the community we're in. Now, I'm not somebody who's into black or white. I believe that there's only one race, which is the human race.
Human race. Awesome. Wow.
But
Look at that.
there's only one race. I'm not into black or white, but
Yeah.
wherever we are, there should be a representation of that human race.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I believe in, and I'm a stickler for that. I speak up. I'm an advocate in the workplace about it. It's cost me one of my jobs when I spoke up. I was literally told, your face no longer fits this organization, leave. But I'm happy to do it because somebody has to do it for our children. It's enabled me to connect with other people, and at least so far, Career Nugget has empowered over 2,000 people. Even during COVID, we've assisted about 18 people get roles, despite the current climate. But I'm somebody that's very private. I do a lot of things behind the scenes. I believe in working with people behind the scenes. I'm quite approachable, but because I think life is not as long as people think it is. And I take a cue from the life of my mom, who had very little. She was a nurse. When we did her funeral, it did not cost my sister and I one penny. We were both in the UK. Our ticket, everything about my mom did not cost us a penny because different people that we did not know. She always said, you will never lack my children, because she always gave and gave and gave. And people were looking for us. We were living in the time in Southeast Woolwich. And people were saying, we had 2 children lost their mom, and they would drop provisions, they would drop money. We were able to pay for our flights. My dad paid for our flights, but everything we needed was taken care of because my mom had blessed so many people. And after her funeral in 1996, just to understand the currency, my sister and I still had £9,000 left from what people had blessed us with. My sister's
Wow.
tuition, she was in uni then, was paid fully. Contrary to my dad did give his life, and he was a society man. We had all the big G's there, and so to say,
Mm.
the send off was different. It
Mm.
was completely different. And I've experienced it, and I smile when I see people accumulating and not given. I just think they haven't got the revelation of what it is.
Mm.
And I think it's that giving. I might not be able to give people money, but I know that if I can give them, help them with their career, and they can increase their earning power, it's
Mm.
something that will be with them for life. And it's more motivational for the children too. I
Mm.
remember one time, one of my friend's son, oh, what do you want to become? I want to become, was it a footballer or a singer? One of those career. Why? I mean, his parents, the mom was an accountant, the dad was a doctor. And he said, every time they just say they don't have money, they don't have money, they don't have money. In his mind, he felt, if you're doing a 9 to 5 job,
Mm.
it's tight. So I just wanted to get the message out there that you can be comfortable in your 9 to 5. Most importantly, find your purpose in life, embrace it, be a
Mm.
blessing. So a lot of the things I do, people tell me you should charge, you should do this. I don't necessarily think so, because where I charge, it's very minimum. And that's the birth of Career Nuggets. Career Nuggets about giving. I've got mentors that work with me. They give their time. We just want to see a change in that workplace playing field. And that's what we're
Wow.
all about.
Wow. You've kind of like gone through the length and breadth of the interview already. So, abandonment, rejection, redundancy, health challenges, loss of loved ones. You've almost experienced every aspect of life yourself. And then,
I've had a
yet,
fair share. I've had a
Yes.
fair share of life.
you've had the fair share
I
of life.
waited
haven't you?
14 years for my child. So, hey.
Wow. You waited 14 years to have a child as well. Wow. What was that like? The wait.
The thing is, it's tough. Because in my waiting, I did 6 IVFs. If anybody's been through IVF, it's such an awful experience because you're on the high and then nothing happens. But the moment I sought the face of God, I realized that as parents, we're just guardians. That's all we are. And we're conduits to bring another life in. God has a plan for that person. And God walked me through that it's not about your timing, it's about the timing of the child. So that child will only come during that time when it's their purpose and when they will flourish. So I might look at myself and say, I need the child when I was this. But if that's not the time that the child that God wants to give you needs to be in position, then he's not going to come. So he took me through that journey of, I love the Bible. Zachariah, he was ever so faithful, and Elizabeth, and there was no fault in them. But God trusted them to give birth to the forerunner of Jesus Christ. So they were childless all the through. And I thought, for this long, they were able to let go of that child to go in the wilderness and eat honey. Can you imagine if you waited so long for a child? You just want to dote over the child. Yesterday, my son was telling me, Mommy, you dote over me too much. It's too much. You go, And I said, what else can I do? You're my only one. But, I think it's just having the understanding. Yes, he was tough, but God's grace was sufficient for me. And I look back and smile. I can't remember the pain really. So I'm not able to explain it.
Wow. You're a hard woman to keep down. Very, very hard woman to keep down. What has life not done to you, and you're still smiling? You're still your very beautiful self.
The grace of God. The grace of God.
Yes, I know it's the grace of God, and please, we all know that. But there are some coping mechanisms. There's got to be some things you can share with us, which are your coping mechanisms. Hold the thought there. When we come back from this break, you have to share those coping mechanisms with us. Is it that you say grace of God, grace of God? Are you saying the grace of God is more on your side than on the rest of us? You're a very hard woman to keep down. You have to share with us. And then after this short break, you have to take us through a particular, think of 1 or 2 career paths that you've helped people through up till they get the job and share that journey with us step by step in a precise way. After this break, hold the thoughts there and you share that. Oh, social media is buzzing for you. I don't just want to call people's name. If you have a question for Morenike Ajayi, just drop your question in the box there. I'll be able to take them a couple, maybe one, two, or three before this session closes. Wow. Anyway, we'll be back shortly. Stay there, don't go anywhere. The best kinds of people are the ones that come into our lives and make us see the sun where we once saw clouds. The people that believe in us so much until we could start believing in ourselves again. They show their love for. The best kinds of people are the ones that come into our lives and make us see the sun where we once saw clouds. The people that believe in us so much until we could start believing in ourselves again. They show their love for us when we couldn't reciprocate and were instrumental in turning our ordinary moments extraordinary. We must find time to stop and thank these people who made differences in our lives. Alive and well, we thank these people for you in front of the whole world. Email us their names and what they did at marklifeshow@gmail.com. These once in a lifetime kind of people who has helped you through a difficult road deserves to be thanked. Name and what it is. marklifeshow@gmail.com. Alive and Well chat show. Fridays 8 p.m. Facebook Live. Hosted by MC. Well, finding purpose could be turning your disaster into destiny. It could be turning your disruption into instruction, trials into triumph, test into testimony. It doesn't always look easy. It never is. No one received the manual on how to turn this lemon into lemonade. No one got the hint on how to change this pain into gain. No one received the direction of how to change this adversity into advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a woman in the building, abandoned, rejected, made redundant, had health challenges, waited 14 years to have a child, still couldn't be helped down by challenges in life. Out there still helping people. Ladies and gentlemen, Morenike Ajayi, share with us what are your coping mechanisms. How could it be so difficult to keep you down? How?
I think I'm a very determined person and I'm highly focused. There's a strength in me because my childhood wasn't very easy. And I think so just to survive that, I must have developed some things unconsciously. But one thing I know is that I've got a strong mental capacity, very strong. Yesterday I completed a 30K walk. I mean, there's such I did that over 2 days, 30K. And when I set my eyes on something, I just don't want to give up. So I'm highly focused. I listen to music a lot. I draw strength from music a lot. I don't necessarily, people might think I read. I'm not somebody that reads a lot, honestly. I don't read a lot. I listen to things. I just believe that everybody, for men, there's a lion within you. And for a lady, there's a lioness within you. And we need to dig in. Yeah, we've got to dig in and find it. And nobody else can do it. When I was growing up, when I was in secondary school, in boarding school, I was called innocenti, timidi. I was very timid. Those labels, I did not like it. And I think it's my choice to either accept those labels or take them off. And when I was dealing with them, I would do this. I take the label of timidity off me. I speak a lot to myself. I look myself in the mirror and I say, this is what I want to see. This is who I want to connect with. This is how I want to be seen. Now, having said all that, sometimes the ugly head of rejection rises its head again. And I might find myself recluse back into a corner where I don't stay there very long. I quickly come out again. And so I think it's about that I'm really blessed with a loving husband that believes in me. And I draw strength from my support mechanism. I have a very loving sister And they're just two of us, a very loving sister, very loving husband that just love me the way I am. I have good friends that believe in me, they encourage me. So I think coping mechanism is you have to change location first of all. So obviously you're in a location where you're not feeling great. You can't remain there. So you got to change location. How do you change that location? For some people, it might be that you have to break up, get rid of some friends. I don't believe in getting rid of people totally, but they might not need to be in that season with you anymore. But if you keep on carrying them along, they're going to hold you back. Some thoughts you have to just deal with and get them out by speaking them out. And there's some actions that we have to take. So regards the rejection, I had to take actions about starting to love myself. Nobody else would love me if I don't love myself. And those that know me, I love dressing up. I pamper myself. I would work so hard and I'll walk into a massage shop and I'll have a nice massage, no apologies. I do take time to take care of myself. I love myself because I know that when I love myself, I embrace myself, others will love me too. So those are the things that I've done. I discover myself. I write notes to myself. I speak to myself. I use the word. I don't want to say too much of the word because I know you've mentioned that. But honestly, God has been really good and he's been very kind. Never, even though he's been kind to me, yes, you've seen, I've gone through challenges. You know, it doesn't mean that God has not been in it through and through, but it's just that he's been able to sustain me. So
Great.
that's what I'll do now.
Great. That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing so many anecdotes with us. You know, people are clicking, you know, taking labels off and all those anecdotes. I can see that. Now, one or two career paths, a lot of people, some with degrees, some without, how can just look for a scenario of someone, one or two, and just share that career path with us.
Okay, what I'm going to say is, for me, a career is a long haul, and sometimes a job is something that just pays you money. An occupation is something that you're just occupying that role. It might not necessarily be what you like, but when you talk of a career, it requires planning. And so taking my career journey, my first degree was computer science. At the time, it pays a lot of money. My friends were doing it, but I knew that it required a lot of, the languages were changing so often. So I think it's understanding, I knew that I don't like studying that much. So I needed to look for a profession that would enable me to just minimize that learning, because with in being a programmer that I was, the programs were, you had to always be on top of it, do certification, do exams, do that. So I think everybody needs to understand themselves first. Know what, because it's a long journey. You need to understand what is it that you would like doing for the long haul, and then identify what skill sets do you have. I love numbers. I love logical things. I don't like talking much, and I don't like writing much. So there's no point me being in a profession that requires a lot of report writing and strategic writing. And so I was either going to be an engineer or an accountant, or And so when I sit down with people, I find out what is it that they enjoy doing. And we tease out, these are the various options that are open to you. Research them. Which one do you want to go? But most of the people that I deal with are not just starting on the career. They're already on a career path. What we're talking about, how they can get to the pinnacle. So we then identify where they want to be, where they are now. Then there's a gap. So we do a skills audit. There's a gap. How do you plug those gaps? I was a very good accountant. I wanted to move into senior management. My dream has always been to finance director, and I thank God because I got my finance director role last year. And I knew that I needed to be able to think strategy, the things that I didn't really like, the writing of strategic reports and all that. At that point in time, I had to go and learn. So I went back and I did an MBA. People need to identify what skills are they needing for that next level. But some people don't even recognize the next level. You can only recognize that by getting a mentor, which we provide in Career Nuggets, by researching that field. When you're in a particular field, we talk about IT. IT is very diverse. You got to hone in which, at some point, when you start, you can be a generalist. But to really get to the pinnacle of one's career, you need to now specialize in a particular area, then you now need to be like an expert, the go-to person in that field. Whatever it's going to take for you to excel, you need to harness those skills. You need to find them, and it's going to require investment in your time, in your money, in relationships. And so those are the ways to walk a career, and also to not always be in a haste. So people look at me and say, "Oh, you're a finance director now." But remember, I started my accounting journey right from I chartered in 1999. So I've been a chartered accountant since 1999. And it's been a
Wow.
long journey. But
Mm-hmm.
I have what you call a vision board. And I
Mm-hmm.
always put the things, my stages on my board. So it's keeping me focused. So the way I've navigated my career, there's some roles I've stayed in them strategically for 2 years. Some longer, because there's certain things I'm learning. Some jobs I've taken them because I want to strategically build a relationship with somebody there that I know can be my next helper to where I'm going next. So
Mm-hmm.
everything I do, I'm very intentional about it. I've intentionally networked with people because at the end of the day, depending on how far you want to take your career, your qualification really just opens the door. It's your
Mm-hmm.
soft skill, it's the networking thing you have. I talk about career capital. So, career is about how much money do you have to spend, and your career capital needs to be full. What is in a career capital? First of all, do you have the right skills and experience? Your pot is started. That's just the beginning of you filling that capital pot. The next bit is about your ability to grow. So you cannot remain stagnant. How can somebody have a CV and you haven't updated it for 3 years? I update my CV every 6 months, which means every 6 months you must be adding something new to it. Your career
Mm-hmm.
capital is growing. Secondly,
Yeah.
your network. Your professional network has to grow. You have to have people under you and you have to have people above you. You need to be networking vertically and horizontally. You need to build your network.
Yeah.
Then finally, you've got to be in a position of influence. So if you're on a job and you cannot influence, change them, do things, think of moving. Those are the four things that I always hold on to. And I believe those are the things I'm able to use to leverage in the marketplace. And that's what I tell people that I coach. Try and build on your career capital because capital is an asset. It's what you can
Mm-hmm.
use to leverage to grow. If a business doesn't have assets, it doesn't have money or cash, it's not really going to grow. What you
Mm-hmm.
want is more assets than the liability. Liabilities is the gaps you have, and you need to
Wow.
address it. So that's the way I navigate people on the career path. And
Wow.
obviously, it depends on what drives everybody. Some people are driven by money, depending on the
Mm-hmm.
situation where they're in. They might want to do contracting or just do something to get money. But
Yeah.
I just want to give a very quick story, and I've shared this before. There was a cleaner I met in my hairdressing salon about 10 years ago. And at the time, they would only give her £10 for the whole day. And because she was an asylum seeker. And I felt they were taking advantage of her. So I offered her, would you like to come and clean my house once every month then? That's all I could afford. I said, do 4 hours, I'll give you £20. She will give me £10 change back. So I decided to buy some provisions for her and pay £10. But she was very good. And I said, have you thought about doing a course on cleaning? And there are MVQ courses on cleaning. That
Mm-hmm.
would enable you to know what cleaning material, what cleaning liquid you use for maybe a glass or laminated flooring. Just harness your skills. So you're a cleaner with a class. You know what to use. The long and short of it is this cleaner no more does domestic cleaning. She
Wow.
now has the contract where I live in Kent for the care homes. She's now an employer of people. That's what I mean. Knowing where you want to be, you don't necessarily have to be in IT, but whatever you're doing, harness the skills. Be the best at what you are. You'll be sought after, you will flourish. But you need to know what you need to do to plug those gaps. And if you don't know, speak to us in Career Nuggets. We have mentors that can help you plug those gaps. But you've
Yeah.
got to be the best. You're the best in what you do. I know to get you're fully booked. You're not just an ordinary MC. You've harnessed your skills every time you're building your you're updating your skills, upskilling yourself, doing so many things. You're making your USP is you're doing the best. And I'm sure there are loads of MCs out there, but you've already carved out a niche for yourself. That's what it's all about. A
Mhm.
career could either be your business or what you're doing 9 to 5. But the key thing is let's be excellent at what we do and do whatever it takes to be excellent at what we do. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Even though for somebody that says she doesn't read much, I beg to differ. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
If only we could continue, but for time's sake, I'm going to be saying that just share your details of career nuggets, and people will definitely be contacting you so that we can draw this session to a close. Tell us where we can find career nuggets.
Okay, so Career Nugget TV show is on Sky 193, Vox Africa, and it's on every Thursday, every Monday and Tuesday at 5 p.m. and Sunday 3 p.m. Our website is info at Career Nuggets. Sorry, our email address is info@careernuggets.co.uk, and our website is www.careernuggets.tv. I've also written 2 books. Please buy these books on Amazon, and they'll be a blessing. Now, the funds from the book, they go back to Career Nuggets to do what we do. During this COVID period, we supported 20 families who lost their jobs. So whatever money you give Career Nuggets does not come to me. Neither does it go to the mentors. We just use it for a good cause. And we look forward to hearing from you. Please follow us on Instagram, Career Nuggets, Morenike Ajayi, or Career Nuggets on Facebook. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Morenike Ajayi, CEO, Career Nuggets, for coming to share with us on Alive and Well. We have to love you and leave you now. Hopefully, we'll be able to get you again on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Bye
so
for
much
now.
for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to a close of this wonderful edition. It's been a time well spent. In closing, all I need to tell you is that the only label that you're allowed to stick on is the one that you refuse to take off. Take off the labels. Expand your horizon. Study hard. Work hard. Be determined. Okay, let nothing keep you down. It's from me, your boy, MC Mark. Join us on this station again on Fridays, but we'll have a special edition coming on Sunday where we interviewed frontline staff. We'll be coming on Facebook. If you keep an eye on our Facebook page, we will be premiering the edition with frontline staffs of NHS during the COVID. Thank you very much. Bye for now.